Well, welcome to another News Game Plus. I'm Jake Dermie, and I'm here with New Game Plus executive producer Logan O'Callaghan.
Oh, jeez,
We're
Christ.
pivoting to Bro Podcast now
We're
because,
gonna have to, right? Like,
yeah, no,
yeah,
well, 2016 was the 4chan election, and this one was definitely the Bro Podcast one.
yeah.
So,
I mean, look,
do you
the,
remember I
the
interviewed? Do you remember I interviewed who was it, Fiona Patton?
yeah, she's running
Remember?
for Senate
And
this
then
year.
she got elected, right? Remember I interviewed Tim Wilson
Yeah,
for New Game Plus? He got elected too after
yeah,
that.
yeah.
We're
Well,
kingmakers.
we need to interview Fiona again because she's running for a legalized cannabis party. I don't know if you saw that. She's the
Uh,
Senate for Victoria.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'll be campaigning for her.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to get back in there. We did it before the
Before,
Bro
yeah.
podcast made it cool.
Well, it was, I mean, look, before we get into video games, it was
Oh
very
yeah, what are we
interesting.
doing?
The controversy, like just the absolute train wreck that was the interview with Joe Rogan and Trump, and then they had to get Elon on to try and steady the ship so that Joe Rogan could endorse Trump because there's no way he could have endorsed Trump after that interview. But after Elon comes on and just, well, this is what he actually meant. It's like,
Yeah, but everyone does it. But how bad would you have to be though to fuck up and lose twice to him?
and
Like serious,
and this one's even
how
way
bad
worse.
do you
I
have
mean,
to be?
this is that conversation around yeah, like all those people like, oh yeah, we'll drag the Dems left. It's like doesn't work like that because there's only two parties.
Yeah, maybe maybe don't let your friends go on a murder spree.
Yeah, in Australia there's proportional voting, like preferential voting, so at least you may have some sway on it, even though I
Okay, I'll go with an Australian angle. I think if I was Elbow, I would have taken a clear message out of that, and that trying to keep the other side happy and
yeah,
appeal to
there's
their
not gonna
voters
work.
is a mistake.
Yeah,
Do your own thing.
yeah,
Go hard at the people who want to support you and just embrace them
yeah.
because in America, actually, Trump's vote was only down by 2 million, but the Biden to Harris
15
change was
million.
15 million. 15 million Democrats went, nah, fuck that, I'm staying home.
And this is before they counted California, but it's still going to be at least about like
It'll be like,
8 to 10
yeah,
million.
like 10 million. But you know what? It's amazing because they're going, oh, everyone's really racist and sexist. And you go, no, that's your voters. Like the
Yeah.
Republicans did what Republicans do. They
Look,
turned up the same numbers. It's your people, the Democrat voters that didn't turn
yeah,
up.
it
They're
was
the ones you
it
got to
was
talk
up
to.
with it was up with Latino men, which was interesting. But I guess we're
Uh,
not ready for that conversation, right?
we won't turn this into an election podcast. There's a million of them.
Yeah,
Latino voters, Latinos tend to be very Catholic.
Catholic.
Yes, so that shouldn't surprise anybody.
No,
They,
no, no. I mean,
they,
it's always one of those things when you have a bunch of migrants who are wealthy enough to migrate from their existing country to the new one. Why do you think they're going to be nice to poor people? I don't understand. That's an interesting.
Dave Chappelle made that joke
Yeah,
once. He goes, "Look, it was one of the older elections. He goes, I'm conflicted because as a black man, I want to vote Democrats, but I'm also very rich."
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it was funny. They also had a sketch, so I saw of him and Chris Rock did it on Saturday Night Live ages and ages ago, and they had it was when Trump first won, and they had all these white people sitting around and they're all like getting all complaining, and the women there, the white women are going, you don't know how hard it is to be a white woman in
Yeah,
America, to be deprived opportunities just because you're a white woman, and Chappelle and Chris Rock are going, yeah, no, never experienced it.
yeah, yeah.
So anyway, we won't make an election podcast because, like I said, there's a million of them. But I'll go with you. I know I should ask you first. What have you been playing? Because that's how it's supposed to open this. And I'm
Aliens
confused.
Dark Descent. Funnily enough, Aliens Dark
Yeah.
Descent is it's the real time strategy game, but it's not like it's a squad based game. So it's not like
No, yeah.
make tons of armies and run them up the thing. It's you got four guys, four Marines. You run them through the maps, and then it's got like an XCOM personnel management level to
Oh,
it,
yep.
and it's got
Yep.
like all that kind of stuff attached. So it's pretty good.
I miss X.
It's so hard. I will say, like it's first gen XCOM hard. You remember
Is
how
it old, or
XCOM?
you just getting
No, no, no,
you're
no,
just
no,
getting
no.
old? That's
It's
what it is.
like I've only got it on. I've got it on medium, which isn't
Yeah.
journalist
Put it in
difficulty.
journalist mode.
No, no, normal, easy journalist mode. But I've got it on medium, and even
They get sad over that.
yeah, I have to really think about how I'm doing it. But now it's one of those games. It's like XCOM the first time you play it, the very first time. It's like, oh, now I understand how it works. I'm sure I'll do better the next time. So it's like if I was to quit now, restart, I'm sure I would do better because I understand how the mechanics
X-
work better.
XCOM was okay though, but it was brutal. But if you would lose if you made a mistake.
Mm.
XCOM 2 was just random.
That was
That
X.
was so
I
bad.
gave up on XCOM 2 very quickly, and it was because of that. It's like, yeah, like I don't know, XCOM 1, yeah, it was like snipers were
It
busted,
was
like
honest,
snipers and
absolutely honest.
snipers and What was the other one? Shared site was busted, right?
Squad sight, you want squad sight, and you want a sniper. And when you get your sniper with one of those suits that makes him fly in the
Yep,
air,
you're just showing them up.
ah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's go. Oh, nah, that was actually fun. Anyway, what about your game?
Yeah, but like it's really good. The story's okay. It's starting to get a little bit silly now, but it's still a good alien story. It's better than Romulus. And yeah, that's not hard. Um, yeah, and then just been playing XCOM, not XCOM, Helldivers, as I have been always been playing Helldivers. And I downloaded a bunch of games on PSN because it's obviously got the free one, well, the free ones, quote unquote.
Yeah.
I mean, just been going through a few of them. There's Firefighter Simulator and stuff like that. I did enjoy Patrol Officer Simulator, so playing Firefighter Simulator when I'm sitting there bored watching Taskmaster has been nice.
Yeah, no, you mentioned the story's bad. Have you actually caught up with the videos from the new Dragon Age game?
I've seen 3 of them.
They're lame. They're
Yeah.
lame. Look, I went.
Lame. That's ableist. 10 push-ups.
Yeah, look, it's. I'm not going to go the woke anti-woke stuff,
But
but
it's pretty woke.
but it's also lazy writing. Yeah,
It
you
is,
can.
and that's I think that's what I mean when someone says woke to me. What invokes is lazy, shoehorned writing, right?
Yeah, just
If you have a natural interaction with people set inside a world that's thing, like if you
fit
have,
it in. Be
yeah,
skillful enough to fit it in the world.
absolutely,
I
absolutely,
shouldn't notice it. I mean,
yes,
and if you want to influence, it's always been my problem, right? If you want to influence people, you need to get into their brain in a way they don't notice. If you just
it
like,
needs to be metaphor. It needs to be allegory. I mean, that's why Star Trek is as loved as it is for that exact reason
yeah,
because it covered a lot of the issues that face modern society and
mostly
even
planets
past.
full of Nazis, but
But,
yeah,
but you know what I mean? Like
the old
it
series.
covers off, what does it mean to be alive? What does it mean to all
Yeah,
these things? And it's like, but it does them in a way that you go, oh, if you relate that to the modern day, it's still a reasonable example of how that morality
well,
works. Like if you're gonna do a little morality play, it doesn't have to be, oh, by the way, this is actually
well,
using like 2024 language. I'm like, this sucks. This
yeah.
sucks so bad.
Yeah, problems are timeless.
Yes,
Because you might think the detail changes, but that's if you're sort of like,
the minutia changes maybe.
yeah, but the actual underlying like problem is always there. I mean, it might be bigotry, but in a form or another. So you
Yes,
want to
yeah,
approach that as a concept, and that's always what science fiction approaches a concept because they have to because
yeah,
you're not dealing with an actual Earth now sort of thing.
yeah.
Now, what you write should be something that people pick up in 20 years and go, that's still relevant to my current
Your
situation.
your game Deus Ex. I mean, he copped a lot of crap for All Lives Matter, and I got like I get
Oh,
why
yeah, that was.
they were like maybe it was a bit on the nose. I don't think that it inherently was, but I get why they would say it. But I'm like, that's still a conversation we have to have, the transhumanism
That would,
conversation,
yeah,
right?
look, it was.
Post-human conversation.
It was an ownership of an issue because
Yeah,
they didn't want the issue to be owned by someone. Look, I don't want to go into detail, but it's the same thing you get if you mention that Irish used to be slaves. And
yeah, yeah,
Americans get really upset, and you
mm,
go, "Well, look, yeah, I know it's slightly different, but the concept's still there. You
yeah,
can't just own that concept for one group and say
yeah,
that's it forever." Well, okay, how about genocide?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like that one. But it's basically these things exist as concepts throughout time.
Generational trauma exists not only for a certain like race of people. You
And
know
you
what
don't
I
want
mean?
to create new
No,
generational trauma for
and that
someone else.
if not
Um,
exactly that should be the aim is to just
yeah,
stop
it's-
creating generational trauma as
but
much
if
as
you
possible.
if you make things into the actual details of it and not what actually happened,
Yeah,
and yeah, but this is my problem with writing, and a lot of writing now generally, you see it on TV, movies, and that
yeah,
they're not clever enough
no,
to make something that, or maybe actually maybe they are, maybe the people running the studios and that aren't clever enough to approve
yes, yeah,
something that is something that it covers a concept effectively in a way people will be thoughtful about it
relate to, yeah,
and go, oh, I didn't think of it that way. They have to make it obvious and only for now. So the Dragon Age stuff, the videos, I'm not going to play that. I've never liked Dragon Age. I would say that. I've always
yeah.
thought Dragon Age is lame as hell. I didn't like the game. I tried to play the first
I've
one.
always hated those self-insert games. So
It
yeah,
was just dumb. But and I know the audience is probably going to lap this stuff up, right? Because the audience is the wokies, sort of audience generally for that for Bioware
mm,
games. But I think, look, if you can pick it up in a few years' time and still relate to it, that's a
mm,
well written game,
yeah,
and this one doesn't look like it.
yeah.
And yeah,
I
look,
mean,
'cause-
this was a point I brought up years ago. Was like Crackdown, right? It was like Crackdown 2. You had this obviously Indian doctor, and I'm glad that we're like, okay, well, Indians work alongside, the American and military industrial complex. That's the world we live in. That point I think is fine. But then she's using like American slang, and I'm like, I get that there's an element of that where it's like, I mean, over here, I use Starbucks as an example, right? Starbucks is always full of like, and obviously, there's plenty of Australians in there now, like white Australians in there now too. But like, there's lots of Chinese students, lots of Indian students, all that kind of stuff, because that is their interaction with Western culture. The US is the
Yeah, you
cultural
won't find
hegemon,
an Italian in there for
right? And
having
because
Starbucks coffee. They'd rather die.
the US is the cultural hegemon, right?
Yeah.
And so as a result, our cafe culture suffers, our grown culture suffers because their interaction with Western culture, and then they come to a Western quote unquote country. That's their interaction with it. So they stick with these cultural cues that they know and they understand. It's the same when you go to Japan, right? When people eat at like chain restaurants and stuff like that. It's the same thing. But there's nothing inherently wrong with that. So I can understand why part of that would be that's why their slang is thing. But they were using like very South Californian language,
Yeah.
right? And I'm just like, it's always that
Well,
same.
that's the other thing. It
Yeah,
shouldn't need a lot of localization. So if you had a translated Dragon Age and were playing in France, say,
yeah,
right, um, that well, some of it might not make sense,
yeah,
and also the views might be slightly different. So and then you go, oh, but that's what localizers are for. But personally, I think localizer is a waste of oxygen, and they really should just be like a translation because
yeah.
the original author wanted a certain
This is
thing.
so this is an argument I'll take to the
Yeah,
grave.
your friends will get annoyed with me
Every
saying that.
nah every time you translate a work, and it doesn't matter how loyal to the source you are, it is a new work. As far as I'm concerned, it is a new book, a new thing. You can't view it in the same way, and that's where watching years of anime, you used to miss a bunch of cultural cues. You used to miss a bunch of whatever, right?
Yeah, but
You watch.
you don't change them though.
But I think sometimes you have to. Like, I'm with you. I'm much more of a literal guy than I'm not. But the Yakuza
Mm.
series got infinitely better when they started. Like the translation, some of the jokes would be changed to something that would make sense to the Western audience, but it would still rely on the same core premise of the joke, whether it was a word pun or whether it was whatever. And I think that's fine. Like sometimes you can do the straightforward things, but
Yeah.
even then, I still think any translated work becomes a different work. It's by its nature.
I'd like to see a chip from a Saturn, especially where it can auto Google Translate
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and play the old Shining Force games. Yeah, no, I think localize. Look, I get what you're saying. I think sometimes localizers do seem to go a bit too far with
Yes.
changing to, thing because things. If you're going to make a work of art, it should be timeless. You should be able to pick it up
Mm,
anytime in the future, and it should relate because you know what. Things don't change as much as people think.
yeah.
They change the form. If you were going to write about some marginalised groups back in the 80s, it'd be like gay people and that. But the way you would write about them now would be different
Yes.
because their situation has
Has
changed
changed,
and
absolutely.
hopefully improved. That's what I'm trying to say. And
Yeah.
I'm happy to be corrected on that
Yeah.
if that's the case. But so now you'd say the position. Now again, I could be wrong, and I don't mean to offend anybody, but the position you would have had a gay person in the 80s would be where a trans person is now.
Yes. Yeah.
You'd say, well, what's changed? Well, some of the details have changed, but the same mindset that had the treatment of gays and then
Yeah. I remember,
is the
but
same
AIDS,
mindset.
like people wouldn't touch him. It was a whole thing. Remember Princess Diana? She took the photo touching the
Yeah,
guy who had AIDS, and that
yeah, with
was a
AIDS, yeah,
huge
and that's
thing.
why in America under Reagan and that they basically didn't even worry about AIDS
Yeah.
at first because they thought it was God's vengeance on
Yeah.
gay
Yeah.
people, and then it started hitting straight people, and suddenly you got ads on TV
Yeah.
saying
Yeah.
wear a condom. But what I'm saying is the mindset that causes these things exists all the time, and you
Yeah.
have to tackle that, not tackle that particular group.
Yeah. You need to tackle the prejudice itself and
Yeah,
where it's seated.
and I will apologise to anybody that didn't like what I said. I'm happy for them contacting me and correct me. Because I'm not a member of either community,
Yeah.
but that's how it appears on our side. So I'll be clear on that. All right, the gamey stuff. Oh, actually, I quickly on mate. I played a round of Speedball one
Oh, yeah.
weekend, and then I finished a league of Speedball two, topped it, beat Super Nush one, and that. So I was very happy with myself on my Evercade.
Speedball's issue has always been it's like one button. You know what I mean? Like so, one button
Yeah,
does everything, and so
but that does it. But it's okay to have one button for like punch, throw, tackle, because that's all I do.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, this is the NBA Jam conversation. When I play with someone, like, I'll say to people like, if I know someone remotely knows how to play, I just play with them and go, if anyone can beat us, I'll give you $50. You know what I mean? Or I'll give you a prize. I used to do this at events all the time.
I'd be happy to do that with Speedball 1,
Yeah, well,
actually.
NBA, I do it with NBA Jam on Fire Edition. I was playing with, this was about 15 years ago, I was playing with Serby, and we were doing it together. And he's passable at NBA Jam. He's not as good as me, but he's pretty good. And so we were just styling on kids because we'd be like, all right, cool. Who's passing to who? He'd pass to me, bang. I just shove them. I'd pass to him, bang, alley-oop.
Yeah.
Bang, alley-oop. It would literally, I just go, whoop. If one of us made like a noise, we knew to pass because it meant I was jumping, right? And so yeah, it's one of those
You
things
get
where
like that in real sport. I remember
yeah,
I used to play volleyball and had a, well, Darren,
yeah,
who played, he was like a super state league
yeah.
level player. And yeah, he would just have to make a call. So like, I think it was two or something. I'd know what spot of the net he wanted on. And I'd know which call was the one
Yeah.
he was lining someone up to smack in the face with the ball.
Well, that's
It was just beauty when
yeah.
it works. It's just
Well,
beautiful.
I'd always say that, like, yeah, goes into the sports mindset. I've always been a defender. Like, I've always been a fullback. I've always been a whatever. And even when I play games now, that's my thought process is defense slash sacrifice to make sure that we don't lose anything. But then you need attackers, you need goal scorers, you need middlemen. You always
Yeah.
need someone else, and it's just a mindset thing. Some people just have that mindset.
When I played footy at St Joe's in Geelong, I was in backline, but that was under the old battlers to the backline.
Yeah.
I love footy, but I can't play. Anyway, let's do video
Yeah.
stuff.
Well,
Okay,
so that little bit of video stuff in the middle there.
okay. Here's one for you. I found this one. In 2018, Rockstar co-founder Dan, whatever Hauser.
Dan
I
Howard.
can't even read my own writing.
So, come on, man.
Okay, cool. He was asked about GTA 6 when it was going to be released. It was getting hopeful back in 2018. And he actually said he was actually relieved that it wouldn't release under a Donald Trump presidency,
Oof.
which is kind of hilarious now. And if AOC and that had believed, it's a permanent one. So we're basically never seeing Grand Theft Auto 6 now. So
Well, no, because he's not.
at least not till
He's not a
2028.
He's not a rock star anymore. So
Oh,
yeah.
no, I was happy with that story. Anyway, I'll tell you the reason why he said that, by the way. He actually said,
Hard to parody it. Oh yeah.
no, he said because everybody, when Trump was in first time, was so worked up and angry, and they would be unable to enjoy the content of Grand Theft Auto 6 because Grand Theft Auto tries to do it is a parody of American
Yeah, it's
life.
always been satirical. Like yeah.
He said you get that on both sides. You see, you get it on the far left and far right. They both can't take a joke,
Yeah.
right? And they can't handle being parodied,
Yeah.
which they were going to do. Horseshoe theory. I'm a big fan of
Yeah,
horseshoe theory.
yeah.
People get upset when you say it, but that's only because they're feeling guilty. But but yeah, he was basically saying because of that. But it's hilarious. He said in 2018 that he was relieved that Grand Theft Auto 6 won't come out while Trump was president, and now here we are again. So
Yeah. Look.
cancel your pre-orders. It's going to be a long time.
Yeah. Look, I mean, the thing with it is the truth of the matter is they just haven't needed to release it more than anything else.
Yeah, they still make it like millions of dollars a year on Shark thing.
Billions. I mean, I think they've made what 10 billion over the course of its life or something like that.
Yeah, that's insane.
Ludicrous.
It's more than I've made.
Yeah, just a little bit. And then you've got Red Dead. It's like Red Dead sold gangbusters. It made its money back well and truly, but it will never be in the cultural zeitgeist as much as GTA. And GTA had the role-playing servers, and there's a whole lot of thing that comes out of that, and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I don't know. Grand Theft Auto is a cultural phenomenon. There's two forces of nature in the gaming industry you just avoid. One is Nintendo, and one is Rockstar.
Rockstar.
If Rockstar release in May, like that's why Rockstar used to release their games in May because no one is going to release a game in May ever, and they had the months to themselves.
Well, they make Christmas. They've created Christmas.
Exactly right. And so, and Nintendo when they released the Switch was what May, wasn't it? Pretty sure it was like.
Oh, we got some Switch stuff coming up.
Well, we do, yeah.
Just stop reading my notes.
No, just I know the story you're going to bring up. So yeah,
it's a secret. Anyway, so
but it's interesting. So I feel. I don't know. I understand what he's talking about. I mean, this is the South Park issue. How do you parody what is just so blatant? How do the kings of American absurdity beat real life absurdity?
Yeah, that's what people didn't get about a lot of people complaining didn't get about Grand Theft Auto. It was actually mocking American culture, and it was doing it quite effectively.
Yeah.
Which is why young people shouldn't have played it because they wouldn't have understood it was making fun
I
of
think
it.
that's true of GTA 4. I went back and played GTA 4. I enjoyed it much more on the second playthrough. Some of the gameplay foibles still annoyed me, but they didn't annoy me as much as they did when I was younger. But I used to appreciate a lot of the conversations and stuff, but there were no likable characters. Where like the one set in LA GTA 5, is way more Wild West. It's like they're more. I don't know. I don't want to say likable, but they're more relatable
I like
characters.
driving around listening to the radio.
Yeah, I
It's
mean that was
wild.
always yeah.
That's
So
fantastic.
I mean that was always the joy of even Saints Row 2. Like, I'm still a Saints Row 2 advocate. I love Saints Row 2. So
I think they might be in a position though where Valve got themselves into with Portal and Half-Life, where you get to a point where the next in the series is coming for so long,
you can own yeah.
it can only be a letdown.
Yes.
I'd worry
I think
about that
that's
with.
there's been more rumors about Half-Life 3 recently, but we'll see. But yeah,
But you can't knock out of the park because you already
no,
got the
you've already
second one
done
knocked out,
so.
and
Yeah,
GTA 5 knocked out of the park. That is a spectacular game.
yeah,
So yeah, I think I actually wonder if they might just drag this out for as long as they can
yeah.
anyway. All right, cool. Well, let's go Nintendo. Switch 2. Nintendo announced officially that it is backward compatible with the
That's
Switch One.
correct.
Not really a surprise, but a relief, I would say, to a lot of people that have really committed to it. That means all your App Store games are still going to run.
Yes, but one
Uh,
wonders whether it means the cartridges will run.
that's the question. Yes, will it be carts or will it be App Store? And if it isn't carts, then how will you transfer your games to it?
Yes, well, that is the question, right? So if there's no cart, or at least even like a cart adapter they can use, the problem with the cart adapter is you're opening yourself up to piracy
Yeah,
instantly.
there's already one now you can get.
Oh, really? Yeah, right.
Did you know there's a card?
No.
Actually, quickly on the card adapter you can get now. Be if you were going to buy a second-hand Switch game, be careful because the cart copier that is doing the rounds at the moment. Apparently, each cart has its own unique ID.
Yes.
And they know that when you put in the Switch, and this is probably how they're going to do the Switch over to Switch 2,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you'll be able to download the ones that you put in. Problem is, if you copy the cart, you copy the ID as well.
Gotcha.
So if somebody copies the cart and then takes it to EB Games to trade in, and you go and put it on your Switch, it'll say no, that game already
Yeah.
is.
If that's how they're doing it, right?
Yeah, so that's a risk to do. If anybody has seen what I'm talking about, I won't mention. We don't need Nintendo's lawyers to knock on our door.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't know it had gone that far because obviously I know you can get pirated Switches pretty easily now.
The game it is blown open. It might be why you're hearing more Switch 2 stuff.
Yeah,
Because Switch 1
now
is
it's worth it. Yeah.
completely compromised at
Well,
the moment.
that's the Wii conversation, isn't it? Once they cracked it, it was like, well, now it's time to
Yeah,
release
it
the
took
new
a
one.
while.
Yeah.
Normally it doesn't take that long, but no, it is absolutely compromised right now. And there
Because
is hardware you can get to
because
copy it.
the way the Tegra chip does safety fuses, if you mod the firmware, it blows the safety fuse. Basically, there's like
Oh,
a
really?
bunch of tiny little fuses, so it blows a physical fuse. So at some point you run out of them, and so it becomes that conversation of like, yeah, so yeah, I don't know.
That's a bit of a harsh because you see those lists, the top 10 copy protection measures
Yeah,
and it's like it deleted the game or something. It's like, oh look, I think that's a fair
yeah.
punishment for not fair. I think that's an over the top punishment for somebody for something that often people might just do to see. I like to do this sort of stuff
Yeah.
as because I'm a hacker from way back and I
Well,
like to just
you
try it.
mentioned the Saturn, right? And so I think the PS3 is probably the next best example of that, where the PS3 is an island console. There's no way to really bring those games over in any meaningful way to
Even Sony isn't.
right, and that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So now that after GeoHots, that was such a rudimentary chip. Now they've blown the PS3 wide open. I don't know. Go get a like if you have a chipped PS3, I'm less inclined to be upset about it. It's when it's new consoles, when it's actually cutting into the nature
Yeah,
of the
there's
sale.
actually I don't know. I've got a lot of notes here.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
23
right.
minutes, but
Yeah,
there was maybe I'll do quickly one of the stories, but I did have a thing about the video game
have you finished Nintendo?
preservation. Yeah, well, that's all the information we've got so
Yeah.
far. But it is awesome news because I don't know I've got a heap of things I bought off the Switch One App
Yeah.
Store, and
Yes.
it is an App Store. I remember I said early on it's going to be an App Store, and you go, no, wait, it's an App Store.
And
You
and
can buy clocks for
it's
famous.
yeah, and the funny part as well is now you've got a Steam Deck as well, right? So you've got like the old
I've got
Omega version of it, and I think that's why Switch 2 conversations need to be
I had
had
like
now.
5 minutes with it until I showed it to the boy and said, here's your gift for finishing year 12, and I haven't seen it since.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
To keep studying. You got 2 more exams, Cam. But no, it's a good bit of hardware. I tell you
Yeah,
what,
I told you, it
Switch 2.
sits nice in the hand. And my only thing is, even for me, and I say this as my size, it's a little bit too wide, if that makes sense. Like my arms go slightly out into a.
Feels like I'm driving something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like steering wheel width. So
Yeah.
like, but the actual technology itself.
We can't put a driving game on here. Actually, can my son said, does it have like movement
That's
controls like?
got a gyro in there, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay, because he was saying he didn't think it had one.
I
He
think it's
wondered
only that way though.
oh, okay, I'll let him
Yeah.
know.
But I
Anyway,
mean,
so
double check the spec sheet. But yeah, I mean, it comes out what September 19th here now. Sorry, September
yeah, good
18th.
machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good. I'm glad I'll be able to play it a week before it gets released. That was worth all the effort travel to Japan.
Look, it was fine.
Ah, well. Anyway, where were we? Switch to backward compatibility is awesome news. The cards will be the thing that'll be interesting, but the cards do have a unique
And they
ID.
also said they
But
haven't changed their plans on announcements based on anything that's happened. I've
e-
always said it's going to be a February, March announcement for a May release, and I stand by that.
even if they got card IDs tied to your account, they do it that way. The way the piracy is about to explode, I can guarantee it's going to explode in the
Be a
next couple of
problem, yeah,
months.
yeah.
Yeah, if they're trying to do that, they might. They because Nintendo's funny about that stuff, so we'll see how it goes. Because they've promised before to do transfer games, and they've just backed away from it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
too piratable. All right, where are we at? Steam has added game recording into their client for PC and that. So and Steam Deck. We're talking about Steam Deck. So you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
record gameplay footage. You can cut it into clips. You can add markers so to tell people where things happen. You can share to PC or your phone, so you can then share to other places. It runs in the background all the time, like a dash cam
Yeah, yeah.
or on demand. And you set the dash cam time it runs, so you can go, oh, quick capture that bit that just happened. But yeah, so that's interesting. Steam. Um, one sec.
You're right. Oh, jeez, he's dying.
Talk too long. Anyway, no, so that's interesting. What I'd like to see also is more support for streaming built into Steam, so you don't have to use
Yeah,
extra
yeah,
software.
yeah. I am surprised I've gone down there.
They got their
I don't know
own,
if I'm
but
allowed to talk about it. They
oh, cool. Here
at
we go.
in the International 11
Timestamp
at
26 minutes 52
at
seconds.
PI 11. I was lucky enough, thank you to friends of mine in the industry, to go to the back area of the production, and they showed me around and blah, blah, blah. And they had a very similar system that I've used at RMIT. And all I'll say is that they've done their own work on that system to add an extra camera, because it was always limited to so many cameras it could have. So Valve, being Valve and having all those big brain boffins there, they found a way to add cameras, add their own extra camera to it. So
Hmm.
it became this interesting conversation. And I think he was surprised that I half knew what he was talking about. I'm like, oh, you've got the same system as blah, blah. He's like, oh yeah, well, and he just like filled me in on it. They were really nice to me. They were really great, and I did have a lot of fun talking to him about it. But
Most
yeah,
secret news. People, you're trying to
but
be vague.
more
Let's
more
keep
than
it vague so
more
you
than
don't
yeah
get
more than anything
probably an
else.
NDA.
More than anything, no, I wasn't
Oh,
under one.
okay.
But more than anything else, I was just
Implied one.
impressive for them to say, here's a problem that we have with this streaming application or this software. We're just going to make our own solution and hot mod it. And I'm like, yeah,
Interesting. Well,
yeah,
we'll see if it lasts as long as Microsoft's one did.
yeah, yeah.
But they're famous for making stuff.
Especially hardware, yeah.
Who's got a Microsoft band? Survivor loved that. He loved his Microsoft
Yeah,
band.
yeah.
No, yoink. And I love the Microsoft phone band.
Hey, have you got the rumors of the handheld on there?
No,
There's rumors of an Xbox handheld announcement next
no.
year.
Do you want to slot that in?
No, I'm just saying. I've just read it somewhere, like from
That's
from an okay source. It was Jez Corden who said it, so he's saying he wouldn't be surprised if there's an announcement in the next.
Interesting, because I thought they'd kind of unofficially divided the market up to Xbox and Switch.
Yeah.
Basically, but then again, I think that was to shaft Sony, and I think they've dropped the ball, and Sony's back. Because I honestly thought 2 years ago Sony was stuffed.
I think after buying Activision and all the bullshit that went through, I think it was too much money. Like I said, I think
Really,
it was still too much money, right? But I think Phil,
$70 billion too much.
I think Phil's been put in the chair in the corner of the room, and now we see the higher above him making contacts with Sony and doing making all these decisions that he has to enforce.
They could have set up a studio to compete with every one of the games
Absolutely.
Activision made for that money. It's bizarre, but then that was just a money transfer to shareholders. We did that a few podcasts ago.
Yeah.
All right, there's a new virtual fighter game in development by Sega.
Have they
Unfortunately,
confirmed it? Ah, here
Well,
we go.
confirmed. I saw it on the internet. Does that
Here we go.
count? That's
Here we go.
confirmed.
Here he goes.
You just read my notes because
No,
I'm sad that it's not Virtual Fighter Kids or Sonic the Fighters. It's a mainline one.
oh, that
Oh,
got
it's,
6. Oh, yeah, okay, that's interesting.
yeah.
That's
So
correct.
well, okay, well, maybe I made it up because I'm old and sometimes
No,
I
I,
things happen. I'm not sure if
I
they
think
did.
Sega's done the same thing a lot of the big companies have done. They've got their own in-house engine. They've got the Dragon engine now, which is what they use for Yakuza.
No, big companies, but not Microsoft, not the one that makes Halo.
Um, yeah. I mean, if you want to keep
Not the
that
biggest fucking company.
anyway,
Oh, it's still there. Don't want to pay people. Huh?
no, it's fine, it's fine.
That's
But
only going to get worse.
yeah, well, so because like no, because like, I mean, EA's got Frostbite and Capcom has RE Engine and yeah, all these different companies have
Oh,
their own
Deus
in-house.
Ex is on the Dawn engine.
Yes, like so because then
Every one of those
yeah,
games on the engine.
because then it offers
It's a
them that
bloody good engine.
yeah, it offers them that advantage of like you say, it makes piracy a little bit like modding a little bit harder. Depends on what they use as, like for visual assets and
It
stuff.
also lets you do exactly what you want to do.
Yes.
Look, I still reckon it's like if you went to like the Commonwealth Bank website and found it was on Wix.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
the fuck are you guys doing?
But no, uh the Virtual Fighter one. So they released that. Did you play it on PS5? The one that was re-released of Virtual Fighter 5 in the Dragon engine. So they remade the
No.
game. It's like it's the same game, same frame advantage, all
You know
that
the
kind of
Virtual
stuff.
Fighter I've been playing recently? I got the 32X one on
So what Virtual Fighter 2?
Virtual Fighter 1
Oh wow.
on my
Before you had
Evercade.
3D movement, yeah.
Oh, it's 3D, but it's got no textures.
Yeah. Oh,
It
right.
actually looks kind of cool. It's really nice. The moves are the same. You can pull off the same moves. I like playing as Lao, and yeah, everything works exactly the way. Yeah, punch, punch, punch.
Oh,
Kick, kick.
Lau's the old
Yeah,
guy. Yeah, yeah.
it does. You're thinking the drunk
I'm
one, I
thinking
think.
No, I'm thinking Lei Fei. It's fine.
Yeah, it's basically it's really nice to play, nice and smooth. Anyway, so that's the current Virtual Fighter I'm playing.
Yeah, there you go.
One.
All right. All right, Grandpa. What's your next story, Grandpa?
We were an onion on our belt.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because that
I
was.
was like, Sleepy Dermie's only got 3 months
That's
left.
actually so that's added to Sega's current because I remember I did a thing on Old Game Plus. Remember there was that
Yep.
show we did,
Yeah.
and about how Sega had abandoned all their franchises, and it looks like they're bringing back. So already Crazy Taxi has been announced as an open world game, which is really interesting.
Like I say, it could work, but I just have no faith after the recent kind of bloodletting from that particular corpse.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
It could, if it works, it'll be something special. But there also Jet Set Radio. That's probably going to be an open world game as well. Streets of Rage and Shinobi. So they've got some really good franchises coming back. Hopefully they don't stuff it up or just monetize the hell out of them. Where are we at? Okay, I'm gonna go. We're 32 minutes. All right, cool. I'll probably run us out to 2 hours with this
No,
one.
that's all right.
Okay, somebody did a research project into called. Oh, I need a lamp here. Examining how sex appeal cues and strength cues influence impressions of female video game characters.
Right.
This is a proper scientific study. They did two tests. There were two parts of the test, and they used Soul Calibur 6 character model generator.
Yeah.
And they made a couple of characters. Well, they made 4 characters. One with high sexualization and high strength. Another high sexualization and low strength, and low sexualization, high strength, and low sexualization and low strength. So, and then what they did is they got a bunch of women and a bunch of men to choose in the first step which character they'd like to play as, knowing nothing else. They just showed them which one, and guaranteed they were all Sophidia.
Yeah. Nah, it's
maybe
Ivy.
some Ivy.
Nah,
You're an
Ivy,
Ivy.
yeah,
You're an
yeah.
Ivy boy, eh? Okay, cool.
As long as you're not a Voldo boy.
Well, it could be.
Hey, man, it's
We're not
not our
judging.
business. Not our business.
We're not
Yeah.
judging. It's but the so they did that anyway. So 4 4 models of Sophidia, 2 Sophidia and 2 Voldos for the low sexual. Oh, Voldo you'd have to have.
It's
So
a
he's
very
got high
high
sexuality
sexuality,
actually.
yeah,
I
yeah.
correct myself. So who'd have low?
What's the main one?
They're all
Yeah.
Soul Calibur characters are pretty alright.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Wang's my favourite. Still is.
Maybe like Sung Mina or something.
come
Like
on,
even like
still. Yeah. Anyway, we won't turn this into a podcast of which
about Soul Calibur. Yeah, yeah.
what's
Who's your Soul Calibur waifu?
fuck, marry, kill, and
Yeah,
Soul
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So anyway, so they did that with those characters, and then they got a bunch of men and a bunch of women to pick which one they would play with, knowing nothing else, just based on character. And they were actually surprised. The researchers were shocked to find that the women, the group of women, would choose the highly sexualized characters, regardless of high strength or low strength.
Yeah, wow.
To say they'd play with it. So this is the first step, right? But they didn't play the game.
Yeah.
And the men would just choose whatever,
yeah.
right? Because we're dumb, right? And we probably thought the low sexualized character is pretty sexualized anyway. Soul Calibur,
Yeah,
so probably
yeah.
it's like Sophia or Ivy, and we've got like them both in different ways.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and then they were surprised by that to find that the women say they dislike sexualized characters, but when choosing to play, they gravitated towards them.
Yeah.
And then they did the next step, which actually turned it around a little bit, where they basically actually it turned out male characters tended to pick the ones that look stronger because they probably knew what they were getting into, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
just fighting it. And the second step, they actually had them play, and then they found that the women tended to pick the strong character when they were playing,
Yeah.
when it was to play, and the men again just picked any,
Yeah,
any character. Probably again, they probably figured they were going to win with either, and they probably try them. It's hard to tell. We think different, right? Which the people doing the study were found very interesting because it was absolutely not what they expected.
I mean, look, if there's a conversation,
Not what anyone expects.
There's a conversation there around mainstream gaming and the masculine spin. Like you say, men probably knew what they were getting into. Like,
Yeah.
So if nothing else, it's like, well, they probably played a bit of Tekken.
Yeah, they probably recognised the game when, and I'm not saying that women didn't recognise the game, but I'm just saying that it's just guys fancy themselves more to be able to cope with. They go, give me a weak character, I'll play that sort of thing. But I'm making assumptions there, and hopefully they're not generalised sexist assumptions. But the main one was that when it came to choosing a character to represent you, the women went for the sexualized characters still.
Yeah.
And you see women cosplay; they're always cosplaying as characters and stuff. So probably shouldn't make a lot of surprise, but it does go against what a lot of people.
I mean,
say.
This is the problem, and the discourse is only going to get worse with recent developments. Is around like women and like, oh, she's a hoe, she's this, she's that, and I'm just like.
No, but that's
women are sexual creatures. It's just their tap gets turned off at a certain point, and that sounds awful to say, but like as they get older, as perimenopause and all those kind of things kick in,
I think also
different phases. I mean, men lose testosterone as it is.
Yeah, well, that's where I'm at right now. Yeah. I'm getting down to the level of BuzzFeed journalists. I can tell when I go to the gym.
Gerard Soy McDermott.
Yeah, hand me the soy. Won't make a difference. It might even go up.
Yeah.
All the testosterone. What was I going to say about that?
So yeah, no, but I think it just it like the idea that, I mean, this is one of those things you want to talk about. The patriarchy hurts everyone. The idea that the women must be demure and can't be sexual beasts. I mean, sexual creatures. I think it's silly. It's always been a silly.
Well, I've always felt that they at a young age can be discouraged because any outward display attracts so much attention that some of them go off. It's just how it appears. This is only watching. And observing a daughter and their friends, right? It's just at some point there's so much attention to them that they're like, I'm just going to shut the hell up.
And there's a certain real politic attached to the marketplace of sexuality, and this is where a lot of these red pill podcasts and stuff go off on, like, high value women and high value men.
Oh yeah, we're a bro podcast now, aren't we?
If you've got to call yourself a high value man, God, you're a wanker.
Yeah.
There's no wanker.
You got to ask the body count. You got a body count. Remember,
oh my lord!
Actually, and our bro.
Imagine giving a shit. Like,
Also, our well, no, but if you're threatened, But so I understand you're not, but men with lesser penises.
Look, it's not about that. But like, I just think that. But there is a certain amount of, like, men have been, and again, and it's a conditioning of society. Men know that you got to take them to dinner, you got to buy them drinks, you got to do whatever. It's generally on the men to advance it, and that's changed somewhat. But at the same time, there is still a marketplace for that, where it's like the man is expected to still eschew these.
But I think we can be boisterous about that, hoping for attention, and I think it does appear women might be less boisterous, hoping not for the attention, because this is so much.
Correct.
We're
that's
like
the flip side of the marketplace.
Anyway,
like like a woman of and I say this in the nicest way possible, of average looks is still going to receive male attention because men are like
oh,
that.
we're
Men
dumb.
thought to yeah.
Yeah, no, we're pretty dumb.
So yeah, so
Yeah.
I hate to generalize and all that because, like I say, I the least important thing to me is someone's body count. I just could not give less of a shit of all the questions you could ask a human
Well,
being.
we're bro podcast now.
Yeah,
I forgot about that from
yeah.
the start. So anyway,
Yeah,
we got to shill some crypto before we
so we
finish.
got to get the OnlyFans girls on and then deride them for 3 hours.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then,
I'm subscribed to you, and I
yeah,
watch it.
I'm subscribed to you, but I hate your guts.
Yeah,
And
I
how dare you?
masturbated to you 200 times today,
Yeah,
but God, what you're doing is disgusting.
yeah. And like, don't get me wrong. I mean, I get the flip
I
side of
love
that.
the whatever
Oh man,
podcast.
I knew who we were talking about straight away. One,
I see-
all of them,
It's a
they
guilty
are.
pleasure because they're wankers.
They are the definition of backfist and gesicht, like a face in need of a
Um,
slap. All of
and
them. That little, especially that
the men
little,
and the women are both
yeah,
equally
shit,
stupid
yeah, it's
in
awful.
their own way. Like, oh
Yeah,
my God, they're all pretty sure they're high value.
yeah,
High value, I love
yeah,
that. I'm a high value male, really.
yeah, yeah. Good for you, bud. Good for you,
So
bud.
anyway, so yeah, now we're failing as a bro podcast by thinking that's funny and not something
Mm.
incredibly serious. It needs to be addressed. I mean,
Overly analyzed. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
want to have sex with
She's
lots
for
of
the
women,
streets.
but
She's for the streets,
I
bro.
don't want
Yeah,
these
yeah.
women I have lots of sex with to have had lots
Yeah,
of sex with anybody else. I
yeah.
don't know how the math works.
Yeah, it gets creepy. I mean, it just of all the things to fixate on, I think like, are they a good person? Do they take advantage of you? Are they nice to you? It's like I think
What?
that.
What?
Yeah, I know, right? They're
We're
way more
talking about
important
women.
questions. Oh, you've had sex with 5 people. Okay, you've had sex with 15 people. Okay, you've had sex with 100 people. Well, okay, like
I'd like you.
obviously you enjoy doing it. Like, yeah.
Just once I might kind of go, oh, okay, but anyway, it's people do their own thing, and
I'd be more weirded out by less. I'd be more weirded out by one or two sexual partners.
or
But it's like
negative.
at 39, I'm like, what am I gonna have to show you? You know what I mean? Like,
We're going down an interesting path now, but
anyway,
I thought
whatever.
that study was interesting. But we are bro podcast, so it's time to shill some crypto,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then we're going to denounce
Did
Coffeezilla.
did you buy your Donald coin before the election? That's the question.
Truth, patriot, real news.
Yeah.
What else? What
Dow
else?
Jones went up what 500 points or something in one day.
Bitcoin went through the roof
Yeah.
today, so yeah, but he has his own coins, not Bitcoin. So,
It's Donald coin, isn't it?
but yeah, the guy running it is the guy that does Logan Paul scams. Am I
Oh,
legally allowed to
nice.
call them scams? I already bought Coffeezilla
Yeah,
t-shirts
yeah,
to
yeah.
fund his legal thing.
I look.
Hey, Carl Jobs, release some t-shirts. I'll buy them. I need to give this
I
money.
appreciate Coffeezilla for what he does, but geez, I hate his format. I can't watch his videos. I hate him.
What's your problem with robots?
I hate him so. It's just
Any
so
green screen? I know
contrived.
you hate
It's
green screens. I tried to
so
put a green screen on New
it's
Game Plus. You guys
it's
cracked it.
still around the corner.
You guys have
So
lost it.
that's an old trauma from level 3 days. Anyway, let's continue. We're running out of time.
Okay, yeah. So buy Dink Doink Truth Social coin.
Ding
Okay,
dong.
and let us know when the money clears the bank account so we can rug pull.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Buy some lunchlies.
We love it. We love our fans. Oh yeah,
Get some lunchlies.
buy a drink. Yeah, no, it's packed with lead. It's got what plants crave.
Yeah. Which apparently is lead. Yeah.
How we go with our bro podcast? What else they do?
Yeah, yeah.
What
Not
else?
even smoking dope. What's going on?
Oh yeah, yeah. I know that. Well, that's Uber, bro. As soon as we get to the point where everyone's just smoking
Yeah.
dope on the stream and going, hey, bring that up, Jamie. Hey, we've got a Jamie. We
We
could get him to
do.
do that. Yeah. Hey, well, bring it
He's,
up,
he's,
Jamie. Oh, get
he's
stuffed.
he's in Japan at the moment, funnily enough. So yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, you've been enjoying yourself. All right, one more story from our bro podcast, our Brotastic News Game Plus, Bro Game Plus. Publishers. Okay, here we go. Now I'm big into retro games. I love my retro gaming. And it is a problem that people have identified that over time, obviously, all the old games are going away, and they don't get released, and Nintendo hangs on to them and does like a Disney Vault style thing where they might release in the future, they might not, but a lot
Yeah.
of
A moratorium.
but also consoles go away. So like things like the Jaguar and that. Like
Yeah.
if you're going to try and preserve a Game Boy Advance, there's shitloads of them.
Yeah.
But say a Jaguar there's not, or a CDI, something like
I
that.
would argue Wii U's are bordering on that as well now.
Well, I've got a Wii U, so I'm doing my part.
Yeah, yeah. I got
Um,
4 of them, but yeah.
well, geez, you are doing your part,
Yeah.
and
I got given them by Nintendo.
that's your Wii U body count.
Yeah.
So,
I need more tablets, bro. Just give me the tablets.
actually, no, I started programming on a Sharp MZ700, and I used to write games and sell them through Southern Office Equipment in Geelong, through a guy called John Carosellis owned it. And I sold a few games, and I used it to buy other games. And then years later, my mum and dad, they were in Rotary, and they had this thing of you could give computers and they would give them to African kids, and my mum and dad didn't know what they were doing, so they thought it was like a PC, so they gave it away and all my games I wrote and all my
Aye.
software, and that caused a lot of. I was really annoyed. So
So some kid in Africa's like, what the fuck is this? Is great.
yeah, so well they wouldn't know how to do it because they Rotary probably threw it away because it wasn't a PC, right?
Yeah.
So I know what it's like to lose a bit
Yeah.
of history that I'd do anything
I'm
to get.
annoyed enough when people delete my save files.
Do anything to get. Save files are the real value of the game. I've told people that.
Someone did that to me for my Death Stranding. Luckily, it was on the cloud.
You
But
need children.
yeah. Oh no, I had a big argument with someone who won't be named. These kids, I said, let him my thing. I said the only thing I'll say is don't delete my fucking save files. And I come back and they're all gone. And then it was
If you're dealing with children, you know when you say don't.
yeah. Well, I said it to him. I said it's up to you to make sure your kids don't delete my save files. And then it was all gone. And then he was wondering why I wouldn't lend him anything ever again. I'm like, I wonder why. Like. So he can't be trusted with my save files, and I'm not interested.
Yeah, save files are the real value.
Yes,
The real value you
absolutely.
collect over life.
Especially when you talk about like, I mean, if someone deleted my like Helldivers, I would happily play that again. But something like Death Stranding, something like these games, like Skyrims and less Skyrim, but like New Vegas and stuff like that. My saves in New Vegas have always been of value to me.
I used to walk around Eastland carrying my kids on a like a thing. That's Death Stranding. I played.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
I actually got a bunch of the tape when I was in Japan last. I'm gonna put it on my suitcase next time I travel.
can I hear my story?
Sorry.
So anyway, where I was going with the preservation thing, right, is so recently every couple of years it comes up with the DMCA in America, that you can query things and make exemptions, and recently the Video Game History Foundation and the Software Preservation Network both tried to introduce an exception into the DMCA that would allow libraries with games to remotely share them digitally to researchers.
Yes.
And the ESA and I can't remember the other one. The copyright, basically representatives of the video game companies, argued that preserved video games might be used for recreational purposes. In meaning that people might play them and enjoy them. So they actually convinced the US Copyright Office to slap that down, so that
I mean, the DMCA has always been a joke, really.
it absolutely is. And the basically the weird bit is that these libraries already lend them out physically, but they're not allowed to do it digitally now. So game preservation just took a big hit. There will not be another chance to argue a change again for another 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
They only open it up every so often. But yeah, the publishers as a group, the group representing them, have basically stepped in and said, no, you cannot share games that are held in a library for purposes of research, whatever, because people might play them, which is the most bizarre thing to say, but that's part of this ownership. Did you know, now this is something I learned through the Evercade stuff, right? the Blaze that makes it are trying to put, the games on carts. And a lot of people ask, well, make a cart full of this game, this game, this game. And the games are traded very much like music is. You know how somebody owns like all of the Michael Jackson songs as Michael Jackson, or Taylor Swift. George Soros owned her music, so she went and recorded it again, so she could make money off it.
Something was like a boyfriend or something, her ex-boyfriend.
Look, I might have read it on Truth Social. I know. So anyway, but yeah, so. Or Gab.
Oh, Gab, let's be real.
It was a Soros thing. I'm sure it was. Anyway, doesn't matter. Anyway, point is, she didn't own it, right? And so that's traded. So a lot of our entertainment media is traded behind the scenes, so people own the rights to it, which I don't personally agree with. I think the person who made it should be the only person that makes money off it. And video games are the same. So when they talk about, we want to release this cartridge, sometimes they've explained, well, the rights for this game that used to be like a Konami game are now with this company, and the rights for this
Gearbox owns Duke Nukem, things like that.
Yeah, so and they get traded, and so what you end up with is that company who had no input at all into the game then tries to say, well, I own the rights to the game. You're only doing it under my condition. And that's why a lot of
SNK's like that at the moment. They're owned by the Saudis, but they're approving everything at the moment. So.
But sometimes they don't, and that's why, or they don't want to do it unless they make a certain amount of money. And this is what's happened with the retro scene with Blaze, which is weird because I can go buy a handheld console with 16,000 games on it from China.
So Blaze made Evercade. They're the ones who made all the old
shitty controllers.
And they made the rip-off Mega Drives and stuff.
Yeah, well, the Evercades,
They're like Brazilian, aren't they, or something?
No, the UK, I'm pretty
Okay.
sure, but I could be wrong. The director's UK,
Okay.
and they own like 30 other companies each. There's
Yeah.
weird setup. Anyway, so games are traded behind the scenes, the rights to games, and the
Yeah.
rights holders they're saying on them. So basically, what's happened here is these have all been locked away for a
Mm.
little bit longer, and basically, unless the rights holder of the game decides to release it in a collection on a Switch or Xbox
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
an Evercade, there's no official way to play it, which is a silly situation because, like I said, I can go buy a 60,000 in one handheld
Yeah.
Android
Yeah.
based shit console from China, and every game's ever made's there, plus a whole heap of crap rip-offs and
Plus,
Chinese
yeah, I mean,
translations.
if you want to play Power Stone, basically you have to play Gigabash, like, or you have to have a Dreamcast. You
I've
know what I mean?
I have Power Stone and Dreamcast.
I did not enjoy, like, yeah, I mean, and it's that thing of yeah, I don't know, I like, I remember even PSP had the EA, was it, no, Capcom, sorry, had the Capcom one, and the EA had a collection as well where they had like the
PSP
Poltergeist and
was well served for collections. In fact, I'd argue, being someone who likes to get all those collections,
yeah,
the PSP era was probably the peak
yes,
of having really good
absolutely,
collections of
yeah.
retro games from the big
You had
publishers.
Road Rashes, Desert Strikes, so Desert Strike, Urban
Yeah,
Strike,
there was an
and
EA collection.
yeah,
There's
the Capcom collection.
Capcom collection, and these collections used to have like 30 or 40
Yeah,
games. They were like the Sega collection,
Sega
which
one, and the Sega one's
Sega's
come up a bunch. So yeah,
that's the gold standard though. It's got so many
yeah.
games, and it's well set up to play.
Alien Storm is great. Like, there's plenty of good ones.
Nowadays, you get a collection that might have 4 games,
Yeah.
right? PSP
Don't,
I
don't
think
forget,
was
if you
a
have
peak.
Nintendo Switch Online, it does have a bunch of free games included in that. Free games, quote unquote.
Yeah, but that's what Nintendo decides to do,
Yeah.
and that's a problem because they may not.
Yes.
So, and also they could take it away. That's the argument.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so the game preservation took a hit, um, because it's not just the games that the publishers protecting the games they have, right? They're the ones they own the rights to. But there's a whole. This also impacts because it's a blanket ruling, or a whole heap of games that nobody owns the rights to.
Yeah. Yeah.
That now they just can't share because they're going against DMCA. So this sort of ruling is like saying, oh, you can't actually. So they said you can't share CDs
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
over the internet, and suddenly like a whole heap of music just disappeared, including
Yeah.
like classical music and that. This is what's happened with games. So, and 87% of all games is estimated released before 2010 aren't available to buy
Yeah.
anymore. And it's only going to get worse also now. Games
With the
need
amount of people.
servers and
Yeah.
always on,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so you can't even have the
Plus,
server
the
set up.
amount of random indie games that will never be archived or like.
The Flash games, remember
Look, I've got a mate of mine who made a game for Steam, and the reason it doesn't work now is because he's taken the score server offline. It was core of the thing, and he said that he goes like, I would have had to pay to keep my game online to preserve it, and he goes, but it was how I had to make the game and the point for the company I was working with, blah blah blah, and
Yeah, well, imagine if in the future some venture capital mob or hedge fund buys Unreal Engine.
Embracer.
Well, I mean, that could happen. Then suddenly they'll don't work. Or Alan Wake. Didn't Alan Wake have to be withdrawn because music
Yes.
that it had in it? So you got all these stupid shit behind the scenes, and companies
So
do it for their
that's
stupid
that's
reasons.
why if you play Alan Wake, the redone version of the first game, the music's been changed, right? But if you buy the 360 versions, that's the licensed version.
Yep.
So I play, I mean, with the worst graphics and stuff, but the music's better. Same on what's that thing? Even American Nightmare, they love Kasabian because there was lots of Kasabian on that fucking game. But yeah, when you play the new ones, I still want to play Alan Wake 2. I really.
There's early iPhone games that
Yeah.
go missing. There's Flash
Flight Control.
games.
Flight Control literally
Flight
doesn't
Control, yeah.
exist anymore, and that was what put the iPhone on the map. As far as I'm concerned,
Yeah.
iPhone, that was one of the very few games that put the iPhone on the map.
Yeah,
For
if
games
it wasn't that, that was part of like 2 or 3 games that just got everybody going,
Yeah.
holy fuck, I can play a different way. And I didn't
I've
even know.
never seen a clone of Flight Control. Now I say that, but I've never
No.
looked for one.
No, just they upgraded the iOS, and the author never upgraded the game.
Well, there was Fire Monkeys who were here local. Like, it was Fire
Just
Mint
never
and
got upgraded.
Iron Monkeys, and they.
It seems
Fire
weird they
Monkeys?
didn't, because it just seems like
Yeah.
if I made a game, I'd want to keep it going as part of the
Yeah.
history. But there are obviously costs involved for them in that. But I mean, the Flash games is one where a lot of kids, a lot of people might have grown up playing a lot of Flash games. They're gone, right?
Like you mentioned with the last week with the browser games, I feel like that's where that browser niche has a potential to grow. In that, like, Newgrounds exists, but I mean, Adobe and Apple killed Flash, so because I mean, it was a malware vector of all malware vectors.
Well, that's another example of a company deciding to just shut something out so they can make a profit. So anyway, so you got to actually, you know what?
Adobe bastards. No,
Ask these corporations what their body counts are, because
Yeah,
that's a good question.
well, I mean, EA
How many
EA's
games
got a long
you
history of it. Microsoft, I mean, they've done this dance a few times. sometimes where they have studios that are successful and they made like Midtown Madness and stuff like that, and then suddenly what game studios? You know what I mean? Like, yeah,
It's yeah, well, that's short-term profits. It's American capitalism. Yeah, recent events are maybe not going to help that.
yeah.
So we'll see how it goes.
So
Anyway,
you thought you were paying a lot for bread before. Wait for now.
bread.
But this is
Yes,
the
I
other
worry
thing.
about bread.
This is the other problem is that people like you bring up this case, and it's a very valid case, but like the way modern gaming is consumed, no one thinks about it until it's too late, and so there has to be this push to make people understand.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
but the people pushing for it, like who were they? The Video Game History Foundation, the Software Preservation Network. I mean, they are doing important work that people don't
Yes.
even realise is important. And yeah, you're right. People will just play the next game and not know. But there are times when you sit back and remember, like a Flight Control. Remember I played Flight Control?
Yeah.
And the fact that it's just gone. It's one of those things. It's just in people's memories.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is a history for a lot of people, part of their childhood, what they grew
Yeah.
up with. They should be able to. Like I still play Speedball and
Oh,
the Mega games.
if you told me Flight Control was coming back on my iPhone, I would
Hmm.
pay my $5 again. I would
They would come
play
back with
it.
NFTs and
Yeah.
everything like Flappy Bird.
I mean, and this is the thing, right? Like the way gaming is consumed now, it is very much like you consume it. You don't engage with it. You don't. Yeah, it's just yeah.
Oh, it's not that we make that choice as gamers to do it. We're
Yeah.
being forced to do it because that's how
Yes.
it's been shifting. And that's another conversation about how things changed in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've gone 55 minutes. That's a very long podcast. I was worried it wouldn't be that long. Anything else exciting happened over the
Nah,
last couple of days?
I think the no nothing I can think of. No, we've got Glitch coming up on the 22nd of November. It's about to go out about live when you're watching this, we're listening to this podcast.
Woo.
You'll have what else? I mean, obviously Christmas is coming 7th of December. We got CWC on the 23rd.
Christmas.
23rd of November is Couch Warriors Cross Up, so that's interesting there. And yeah,
Yeah, and don't forget to buy a crypto ding doing fuckwit coin.
sure.
And well, we're gonna be bro podcasting. Coffeezilla's great until he exposes us. Then he's a dickhead.
Like I say, again, I appreciate everything he does, and I'm glad that he exists, but I just cannot watch that.
And
for
don't forget to ask everyone their body count because it matters.
it matters.
And
We are such like exes millennials. Like, who gives a shit? Like, yeah,
yeah, look, what's the other one? Yeah, I'm trying to think of some more of this stupid bro talk. I love
yeah,
watching it, but oh my god,
yeah,
body count's a big one that cracks me up. And then
yeah,
high value. That's it. Yeah.
for sure.
It's a high value podcast today. Well, high value. I'm a high value. They're always high. Anyway, if anyone says they're high value male, I mean,
It's the new alpha male. You can just ignore it.
nah, you go to Sigma. You got to be Sigma. Sigma's for people that know they're not alpha males, but they figure they probably could win a fight if they ever had to.
Yeah.
It's-
We used to call that Delta, but yeah. Anyway, let's leave it there. NewGamePlus.tv, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, New Game Plus TV. Yeah, Jamie's over in Japan at the moment, so he's putting up some photos at the moment.
Cool.
Of the various things he did. He went to Nintendo Museum, which is interesting.
Say what, putting a picture of Akihabara on the last podcast got a lot of people clicking on it.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
And then
might do that again for every podcast.
just bait him.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
just bait 'em. Yeah.
I mean, we can definitely start the podcast going forward with Japan real estate talk. I fucking know enough about that. But anyway,
We don't crap on enough.
that's true. That's true. We do struggle to fill sometimes. On that note, let's leave it there. We'll see you guys next time.